And good afternoon. We've got the beautiful summer weather back in the end of April, or early May, of course. It's a beautiful autumn day down here at Mornington, Alexandra Park. And we're looking forward to a big game in second division. Second on the table, equal on top, unbeaten Rye, taking on Mornington, who've won 3 and lost 1. Got out of jail last week with a last-minute goal through Matthew North to beat Devon Meadows to stay ahead of the pack, of which there are 5 teams, Devon being one of those on 2 wins and 2 losses. We've got a pre-match today, and a very special pre-match because it's Sean Connell joining us. G'day, Sean.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Well, mate, great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you again, mate.
Looking good. The COO of AFL South East, and of course the new man in charge of AFL South East, Steve Dacos. Will Dacos, sorry. Will, good to have you with us.
Great to be here.
Will, you've been in the job as the regional manager for a week?
For 2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks.
So just getting my head around everything, but it's been a great 2 weeks so far.
So what are you learning about the job, and what are you learning about AFL South East that you didn't know?
Well, there's lots of intricacies. All clubs are different. Each president and each club have their little differences, but really interesting. Really fortunate to have Sean in the position as well as COO, fountain of knowledge, which has been really useful for me.
So what's your background in footy, Will?
So I played a lot of footy, played all through school. I didn't play quite the highest level. I like to claim Todd Goldstein kept me out of the first team when I was in high school.
At Trinity?
Correct, at Trinity, yeah. You can't see, the viewers can't see, but I'm actually quite a tall gentleman.
Yes. No, you are tall.
Yeah, ruck was the designated position for me, so held out of the high school team, but played a lot of community footy after. Played in the VAFA, out in Sale, so got a lot of experience playing football, but got to a stage where I got a bit sick of blokes jumping into me too often and got a bit sore and a bit old, so I decided to move over to more sports administration now.
So what do you know about this competition?
Well, it's a very competitive competition. I mean, all you can see over the last few weeks, lots of tight games. Anyone can win on any day. I personally live down in Dramana, so watched a lot of local games before coming to this position. But yeah, super tight, super competitive, really high quality.
Yeah, Sean, you must be happy. You've been involved in the comp a long time. We've got a lot of, as Will mentioned, a lot of tight games of footy at the moment. Anyone can win on any given day, but the first and the second division, I mentioned 5 teams really in contention on 2 wins and 2 losses. Devon being one of those have been down a long time. So that's a great positive, isn't it?
Oh, I think the competition's in a really terrific spot. I mean, where we might have been, five years ago, I think the competition's really strong, and I think divisional football's really played its role in that. And yeah, as you said, there's some tight games right across the board. I really enjoyed, watching the Devon Meadows game last week against Mornington. The finish to that was nice and tight and competitive. And if we can get more of those kind of games across the rest of the season, I think we're in for a ripper.
Do we need to have marquee players regularly, or just every now and again, like we had Brett Delidio last week? Yeah,
look, it's a contentious one, isn't it? I mean, I think that it has its role in terms of getting people to the game and so forth. But I think it's one of those things where you've just got to get the balance right, where you're not sort of relying too much on the marquee player to sort of get you through a season, unless that marquee player is actually dedicated to playing the majority of the season. So I think there's a bit of a balance. I think there's the balance of just getting that team sort of culture right. And my understanding is that Deludio is going to come back in a couple of weeks.
Play one more. I think Nick Del Santo will play for Tyre too.
Yeah. So it's funny, we were at a lunch with Nick yesterday. So I think that it's just around balance and just making sure it's right. And I think what we saw last week at Devon was terrific for that club, and I think that if that's able to give them a bit of a financial lift and build a bit of momentum for the rest of the season, that's a good thing.
Are you worried about Tyre? They kicked 1 goal in their 3 grades last week. I know it was wet, but they only kicked 1 goal for the whole day.
Yeah, Dan, this is probably going to be a little bit contentious, but I think that you can still, in Division 2, there's still there's a big gap between sort of that top half and that sort of bottom bit. So I think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done to be able to get those clubs up to the other level of the other Div 2 clubs. And I think that we'll continue to work closely, and Will can speak to this in a more state sort of level. But our investment in on the ground resources is going to help build the junior footy clubs in that area. That Western Port area is a real issue for us, and it has been for a while. But the investment from the AFL to continue to support those areas, I think, will make a big difference in the long term.
I think just on that, everyone can admit that a strong league has strong clubs all over. We don't want clubs who are getting smashed every single week. That's not great for the league. So we want a tight, close league. It's great for supporters to come and watch tighter games. So Sean's absolutely right. It's about working with them to develop them moving forward, to increase their strength going on from both this year and more importantly into next year.
But having said that, and I wonder whether COVID was a disadvantage. It was a disadvantage for a lot of football clubs around the state, but whether it was a real disadvantage for Tybe, I know they went out and recruited. They were certainly ahead of Devon, they were ahead of Pearsdale, and they were ahead of Crib Point in the first 2 years in second division. They made massive strides in the back end of 2018. They were up and down a bit in 2019, but they were still clearly better than those three. I think it would be fair to say now, guys, that Crib Point, Pearsdale, and especially Devon have gone ahead of Tyab, which is a concern.
Well, I think as you well know, footy clubs and their success can be cyclical anyway. But the people at Tyab, they're working really hard. They've got the off-field structures right, I think, and I think that so their success will come on the back of making sure that their off-field is right. And so I don't think. If we had a club where their on-field and off-field was not functional, then we've got a real issue. But at this point in time, I think that that there's a real good core group of people running that footy club that I think will see it through. But and look. Again, culture plays a big role as well, and the culture at Tyab's pretty good. So I think that the success is not too far away.
You've got two under-19 teams or clubs that don't have two under-19 clubs. Chelsea being one, and the other one is Coringal, who've dominated the comp for a long, long time. How disappointed are you about that? I mean, Coringal really have gone from chocolates to boiled lollies, with the greatest respect to that football club, who've done a lot of good work in the underage competition for a long time. Yeah,
I think Coringal's an interesting one because they've had holes in their junior program and over the last couple of years, and
but they still made grand finals and won them, Sean.
In the lower age groups they have, and their president Ralph Howell, he's doing a terrific job in rebuilding it, and Sarah Burke, who's just incredibly resolute in making sure that the junior and senior club are in unison. So I think that there's growing optimism around the future of Coringal, and they're sitting next to an absolute juggernaut in Langwarrin, and they're just give you an example. Talking to Ralph, their junior president, during the week, that their else kick numbers have gone over 100 in the last couple of weeks. So I think they started off with 70, and they've gone up up to over 100. So there's really good signs at Coringal, and I think that again, providing that we've got the plan and the future vision around what that's going to look like, I think we can work with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where AFL Southeast roles come in is a really important thing. Looking at the club from a structural point of view in terms of governance, procedure, things like that, to make sure that what they've got in place is working and going to work going forward into the future, particularly around their strategies of player recruitment and development and whatnot. So I think that's where we can really play a strong role within the league and within clubs.
It's Umpires Appreciation Week, Will.
Absolutely.
We're struggling for umpires. Why?
Well, it's probably a bit of an impact from COVID. People over the last year have probably had a bit of change on what they do on their Saturdays. That's obviously playing a big factor. But we still have about 15,000 umpires across the state within Victoria and within community football. And about 15% of those are women. It's a great way for people to earn a bit of cash, get a bit of fitness, and actually really meet some great people. We have some wonderful coaches down in the southeast area who have really, really strong development programs. A number of those umpires have moved up the grades, going into VFL up to AFL. So I'd encourage anyone listening or anyone out there who's interested, perhaps have played football before. Just an interesting stat for you, of our umpires, about 97% of them have played football before. So it's a bit of a myth sometimes. People think that umpires have never played football before. They generally have. So people who might have given the game away, they're not so interested, please reach out to us. We're always looking for more umpires. We've got great development programs, great people running the programs. So I'd encourage you to reach out.
You had a go today, Sean. How'd you go?
Yeah, I umpired with Darren Holt, our regional director of umpires, in the.
Is that your first time?
Yeah, absolutely. Your first ever.
Wow.
So I was on the YouTube last night and looking up all the how-to videos on umpiring and positioning. And look, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was Pines and Frankston Bombers, and Frankston Bombers won easily. And the exciting thing about that was that Pines kicked their first goal ever
in women's footy.
In women's footy.
That's
so
great.
it was great to watch. It was a perfect bit of play. But I think from an umpiring point of view, we've just got to continue to encourage people to be involved. And look, it's, from my point of view, I really enjoyed it. I felt really good doing it. And, that level was probably about where my level's going to be. But
And you got away without any major injuries.
No major injuries, although
no calves or hamstrings.
the calf was tested a little bit in the last quarter. But, look, I think that, to what Will said, that we've got a terrific history of strong umpiring within this region. We've been blessed with being able to feel, particularly in the seniors, full disciplines right across the board. And it's only this year that we've really struggled to get that. And yes, there's a little bit of COVID. I think majority of it probably sits with people finding new pursuits to do on the weekends. We've got a really strong program. We've got really strong coaches. Which is well supported by the Southern Umpires Association as well. So, we've got training bases at Cananook, in Frankston North, and across at Carlisle Park in Cranbourne, and then we've got satellite ones down here on in the Southern Peninsula as well. So I think all in all, we can service umpiring well and support people who want to be involved.
Can I just say you are an inspiration? I mean, you're fit, much fitter than you have been in the past, and you've been very open about that. So congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You've worked very, very hard on that. I mean, just an individual question on that. How much better as a person do you feel after going through the process of losing some weight over the last 12 months? And I will say, and on the record again, over 60 kilos. So congratulations, Sean.
Thanks, Stan. I think I don't think I would have got through COVID if I hadn't made that change, that lifestyle change, and just mentally and from an energy point of view, I've been able to get through it, and particularly from a workspace point of view, it's been really tough yard. So if I hadn't made that change, there's no way that I'd be in the position, one, to where I am now, but secondly, to be able to be fit enough to do an umpire appointment this morning. So
that's great.
I think it's in a really good spot.
Will, can I ask you about volunteers?
Absolutely.
Seems to be a bit of an issue. I heard a rumour that a club today had just 2 volunteers come down and do most of the work to prepare for a game of footy, which isn't enough. Do you think COVID's played a role in that as well?
Absolutely. Again, I think it comes back to what Sean was mentioning, that probably people have got some other interests throughout the last year. But from an AFL South East perspective, naturally there had been staff reductions over the COVID period, but we are expanding. So we're hoping with the expansion of our team, providing more resources to clubs and leagues, that we can try and reduce a little bit of the burden on volunteers to allow them to focus on some actual crucial roles that they need to play within clubs. There's always going to be a need for volunteers, and it's always going to be a bit of a challenge. But if we can try and ease that burden and increase reduce the responsibility that club volunteers have, I think that's probably a key thing that we can do. But absolutely, it's an issue, and it's something we need to focus on going forward.
Do you think, Sean, that there are some volunteers that hang on to the role for too long? They see it as being a bit too important. They might whinge away from the situation behind closed doors and say we haven't got enough, and then when it comes for other people to come in, they just see it as their God-given right to stay in the role forever, and that detracts people from wanting to get involved?
Yeah, look, it's tough. I mean, sometimes that situation arises because there's nobody else putting their hand up. But I mean, I certainly wouldn't be disparaging of anyone who puts their hand up and puts their time in to run a club. I mean, some people are putting in 20 plus hours a week just into their footy, into the footy club. So I think what's really important is that clubs really manage themselves where they can encourage new people to come on board, spread the load. We've got some great examples of clubs across this region that do that really, really well. And the president, although doing his or her fair share, I think can sort of diversify the roles and responsibilities that sort of takes the pressure off, and that sort of reinvigorates the people coming through. So certainly. I don't think it is a good sign where you've got clubs that have got people in the same role for 20 years or so, but at the same time, providing that you're able to continue to reinvigorate around them, I think that clubs can still be successful.
One more question before I let you go, because Glenn's asking for a break on our coverage, our pre-match. Thanks to OBrien Real Estate. Questions without notice. Sure. I was asked to ask you these. Who won the 2018 Second Division Premiership in the MPNFL?
Ooh, Second Division.
They're now in First Division.
I don't know that one off the top of my head.
You mentioned them earlier, that you've seen them play a bit of footy.
Oh, Dramana. Back-to-back
correct.
premiers, Dramana. Sorry, 2018. Sorry, again, my season's mixed up. Yeah, back-to-back premiers. Quite an impressive feat to go from Div 2, win the Premier, straight into Div 1, win the Premiership again. Yeah, no, well aware of their success. It's painted around the town as it should be.
And who kicked the winning point for Pines to win their first flag for over 20 years in one of the best games of local footy we've ever seen in the 2018 First Division?
Well, as a good boss, I'm going to delegate this one to Sean to answer this one.
What was the question?
The question was, who kicked the winning point in the 2018 Grand Final? And you're going to know this because you were there.
Oh, it was the little Pines bloke.
Yeah, of course it was. Well, they won the game, didn't they?
No. Ludwig.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ludwig.
Thank you for the crowd.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. Sorry I called you Steve earlier,
No,
Will.
that's fine,
We'll get used to it. It's going to be great to have you on board. And Sean, always good to see you. And well done on the umpiring this morning. And hopefully we get a good game of footy between two class sides today. We'll take a break. This is our pre-match on OBrien Real Estate, and Chris Baker, one of the star Mornington players who the Bulldogs would love to have out there. Got a bad injury at the moment. He's going to join us next on the pre-match, with Mornington leading the reserves at the moment by 70 points. Get your GameFace on. Beautiful conditions at Alexandra Park, and we're in the last quarter of the reserves between Ryan Mornington and Mornington are leading by 70 points. These two teams, second and third on the table in the seniors. Rye undefeated, Mornington 3 wins, 1 loss. We'll do battle in a big game in second division very soon. One man Mornington will love to have out there as we're in our pre-match.
Thanks, Dan.
Not you, mate. You're finished.
Sorry.
Finished a long time ago. And a friend of mine has got a bone to pick with you, Mr. Holcomb. Good afternoon, by the way.
How are you?
She believes that you're a bit harsh on me, but anyway, we'll talk about that later on. I know it is just good fun. And good afternoon to Leanne as well. But anyway, it's a story for another day. Now, Chris Baker is the man with us. He's got an injured bicep, and he'd be a very handy addition out there today for Mornington, who got over the line last week against Devon Meadows. Chris, sorry you're not out there. Good to have you with us. Welcome.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, wish I was out there, but it happens. It's footy.
How bad's the injury?
I'm not too sure. I'll find out on. I got an MRI Monday, and then should find out by then if I need surgery or not. So,
if people didn't know you were injured, you'd look super fit to me, like you're ready to go. How sore is it?
It's a little bit. It's not too bad, but just weak.
So how long do you think you'll be out for? You don't know this.
No, I don't know. If I need surgery, I'd say it's probably the rest of the year, but yeah, most likely.
It's very innocuous, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah.
Because you just went for a tackle and bang, she popped out.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time you've had a pit of your appendage pop out.
Yeah, so I think it was like 5 games last year, or the year before.
Yeah.
You had a lot of
4 this
injuries,
year.
haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, only the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
The knee
before
popped
that.
out, did the same thing, and the
Yeah.
knee shot up your
Is that
thigh,
right?
didn't it? Yeah.
I thought you were talking about another appendage.
No.
No.
It detached, didn't it? And you see it, and it shot straight up his thigh, and his kneecap was sitting in his thigh.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah, still got this. No, you can't see it. The scars there.
How bad was that?
Pretty bad. That one hurt.
So they obviously had to put that back in. Where do they do that? In hospital, obviously?
Yeah, in hospital.
Nah, down at the Tenno Hotel, just
Oh,
down here,
well,
mate,
who
the back
knows,
bar.
mate? Well, sometimes to get players back on, players play with huge pain threshold. They're able to get it back in. I mean, we saw Josh Dunkley, who the Dogs missed last night, especially in the second half. But that's a story for another day. I mean, he had his shoulder pop in and out twice in a couple of minutes. But, it's tough, Chris, because the team's going all right. It was a tough old match last week against Devon, but you found a way. And, I mean, those 4 points have seen you be a game clear in third. If you had lost, you're back in the pack, 2 wins, 2 losses. That's how tight the comp is at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. We probably should have been further ahead at quarter time. We kind of just missed a lot of opportunities. But I actually watched the second half in hospital, so I didn't see it all. But, yeah, they fought back and saw the last goal by Northey, which was a great kick. So, 4 points is handy at this time of the year.
Was it good having Brett Delidio out there playing? I know you only had the first half out there. What was it like, though? What did it add to the atmosphere? And what was he doing for them that you wouldn't normally see, considering he's an AFL star?
To be honest, I was too busy about the way we play and our structures and stuff, so I didn't really pay too much attention to him. I saw he started heating up a bit in the second half, so I wasn't there for that. But it was good. I think the atmosphere, I've never been out there before too, so it was really good. Yeah, it was the first time out there. The crowd were getting around him, so it was good.
Well, you haven't played Rye for 16 years, Scott Beale, the long-time Rye Vice President, said. So the comp's changing a lot, isn't it? I know Mornington would hate being down in this division, considering how much they've dominated the comp over the last 20, I'm sure you did, over the last 20 years or so. How much is it hurting being in second division, and how much is it driving you to try and get straight back up?
Look, at the time, everyone was a bit down about it, but it is what it is. Someone's got to go down, so it's just a good challenge now to, like you said, try to get back up. And it's good, bit of change. It's good to play different clubs. Like I said, I've never played Rye, never been down to Devon Meadows, so we're just. Honestly, this year we're just happy to be out there playing footy after missing a whole year last year. So that's the main thing, I think.
And there's been such a change with the list bakes. I mean, I've got guys that have come down after probably not being at the club for a couple of years, and they don't recognise anyone like you and Jacko, maybe, and Warwick Miller. But besides that, you've just got that many fresh young faces out there at the moment. It's going to take a little bit of time to gel.
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, we're 3-1.
Yeah.
And we haven't even started playing really good footy yet. We're still getting used to it. But like you said, even 2 years ago, you look at the team and it's completely different. Like, you still got that 4 or 5 core players, but other than that, young kids everywhere. Even out in the twos, it's a completely different side. So,
yeah. And who out of those young kids that are coming up through has impressed you so far?
Definitely Connor Jacoby.
Yeah.
He's really good. Falvo, number 15 for the twos, is another good young player.
Yeah. What about in the seniors? Who's come through? I know young Dinger's been in, wrapping himself around most things around town.
Yeah, Dinger's been really good. Nathan Heath's really good. Like, he's just, for his age, he's so calm and just clean hands.
How old's he?
Nate would be 20 maybe, I'd say. He wouldn't be any older.
No, the record. Yeah.
And the other one, Matty Kane.
Yeah,
Matty Kane's been playing really well. And I feel sorry for him because everyone just talks about how big his head is.
It is a big head, though.
But he wants to start talking about how good he's been playing. So.
And he's got red hair as well.
Yeah, he does.
So how did he go with that, with big head and red hair? Lucky he can play footy.
Yeah,
that's what my brother's got. Big
Does
head
he?
and red hair. Yeah.
What, he took the hair and the head, did he?
Oh, I've got the head as well, but I've got no hair, of course.
You've got a little head, Dan.
Yeah, I have not. Massive's gone, mate. Massive's gone.
Is that on your eHarmony profile? Big
Uh,
head?
well, I didn't mention that. But,
Okay.
Anyway, let's move on.
He's out. He's out today too, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's got a
Matty Kane.
tight hammy.
Yeah, so there's a. I mean, also, Goose was telling me yesterday about Josh Harrington hasn't played for 5 years. He played in the juniors. He's come back in like he has been playing footy for 5 years and doing a good job for you.
Yeah, he's been real handy down back. He probably only came in halfway through the pre-season, and he said he hadn't played, but he's a big boy and he's just one of those good lockdown defenders. So he's been handy.
It's been a little bit difficult too. Obviously, during the pre-season, you would have thought you would have had Big Mick McGowan to ruck to for most of the year. Then he turns around and heads down to Rye the week before the first game. He's be out there today. The ruck's been a bit of an issue to try and get that competitiveness in there for you guys. If you felt you sort of had to shark for most of the year to date?
Yeah. It was a bit of a shock when he decided to leave, but everyone's got their reasons. So, yeah, we've probably had to adjust and start trying to read off some other ruckmen. We're just young. Like, Ollie's such a big guy, but he's so young, so it's still going to take, ruck's probably the hardest position to develop into.
Yeah.
So, we've probably had to change and start, sharking off the other ruckmen a bit more.
Young Toddy Paganoni. Geez, there's some clowns around this town.
There is. There's another one just about to walk past.
Toddy Paganoni, he's actually been really good. He probably wouldn't have seen himself as being a ruck option at the start of the year, but he's had a crack.
Yeah, no, he has a crack and he competes. He's a good athlete too, so he gets around the ground.
He's cooked today.
Yeah,
so
I don't know what he's got, virus.
Yeah, I think so.
Hopefully not COVID.
So Oliver Walsh has come back in, but Will Goosey will do a bit of ruck work as well.
Really?
But,
Willem?
Yeah.
Oh, Willem. Get to the ruck, Willem.
But Michael McGowan obviously is a massive loss,
Yep.
so you'll need to obviously work pretty hard to stop him. But what have you learned about Rye? I know you haven't had a chance to play them yourself, but they've won 4 from 4 and they've impressed a lot of people, haven't they?
Yeah. I don't know too much about them, but what I've heard is they're pretty young, just fast side, and that's with those young guys. Once they get a bit of confidence, they're pretty hard to stop. So it'll be a good game today. It should be perfect weather for it. So.
I think they'll play these conditions, Chris, pretty well, won't they?
Yeah.
I mean, in the opening game of the season, they won by 15 goals against Tyab, and that, of course, was a very warm day, a bit like this. Not as warm as this, but pretty warm. So.
Yeah, it should be good. It'll be interesting to see how they go on a smaller deck.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've played on, there's a bit bigger than this, so
Yes.
we'll see.
All right. Well, Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the
worries.
injury. Hopefully it's not too serious, and you're
cheers.
back playing really soon. Good luck today, and thanks for joining us.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
No worries. Chris Baker joining us on our coverage of the pre-match. Thanks to O'Brien Real Estate. Lead up to Mornington and Ryan, the second division, second playing third. Back with more shortly. Get your GameFace on.
On the inside, Sophie Marr, but Isabella Khan gets the upper hand.
Just gets it past the field. You're in trouble. Pierce Sterling will be run out. And wonderful to see some of the greats of Australian sport here today.
It's just on exactly 2 miles. 2-time Olympic Games finalists over the 3,000 steeple.
Too wide. In the inside is Marr, but down the outside is Khan.
Cover running it at ground level. Charlie Rowe again from Mount Eliza.
I want to crash the interview. Take the microphone, Pete. Thank you. So I just want to be a big fan of yours. So I'm in the federal parliament, but you play Big Bash.
Come outdoors. We're sitting here watching athletics. There's heaps of people running of all ages.
Times through, so this first place is really important. The runner in green in Buddy.
Eddie Jerebic now has got a bit of move to do. He's got to try to get a run off the bank somewhere.
Gertz roosts that one. That is a monster of a kick for a goal. Waters in again short. He hits this high, and he might have got enough on this to go for 6. It has. Coming into a catching position on the onside. Mills the spoon shot. He's picked the gap beautifully. What a shot that is.
Get your GameFace on.
Mexican night is going to be unbelievable. So we're going to do live and loose from the Mexican night.
Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for everyone on the stage tonight.
What an outstanding tournament it's been, Paul Wilson.
Unbelievable.
For any real estate advice, feel free to drop into 188 Main Street, Mornington.
Welcome back to our pre-match. Thanks to OBrien Real Estate and the lead up to the big clash in second division in the MPNFL round 5. The unbeaten Rye is equal top on the table, but separated by percentage from Langwarren, and Mornington 3 wins, 1 loss are third. So a huge game. These two sides have not played each other since 2004, so it should be a good encounter here at Alexandra Park in Mornington. Dan Lonigan and Chris Holcomb with you for the pre-match, and we'll change sports now, Hulks, and speak to a man who played a bit of footy at Mornington, but now is concentrating on being involved in the pugilistic level of sport, which we're talking, of course, about boxing, and he's got a big bout coming up in a couple of months' time. The local boy from the Peninsula, Kane Watts. Kane, welcome to the program. Good to have you with us.
Cheers, Dan. Thanks for having me, mate. Chrissy.
Sugar cane Watts to you, mate.
Sugar cane. I love. Yeah, it's a great nickname. It is one of the great nicknames. How are you feeling about your bout, mate? You look nice and fit and ready to go.
Yeah, good, mate. I've been in training camp for probably 3 months now. I was meant to fight in February, and the guy pulled out a couple of weeks before, unfortunately. So had a couple of weeks off, and then straight back into camp, and got a good start on getting back into the ring, mate, after a big layoff.
It's a funny game like that, isn't it? Because you can be ready for a fight, and obviously you've got to taper after you've done all your lead-in preparation, and then you might have a cancellation like you've had.
Yeah, mate.
How does that play with your mind, and how do you ensure that your mind doesn't sort of lose too much focus, knowing that there's another fight around the corner, hopefully?
Yeah, early on when I first started out boxing, probably the first couple that pulled out on me, I got pretty disheartened about. But as you go on, mate, it's just a part of the game. Like, I've had to pull out on guys before with getting injuries, like leading in the weeks before we're meant to fight. So it's just a part of the game, and you got to be used to it.
Dan's had to pull out plenty of times, mate. Don't be embarrassed about it. It's all right. So you had some massive...
He's a shocker, this bloke. I will get him back. I said on our footy show on Wednesday night, Kane, in the words of Paul Keating with Alexander Downer, and Keating was still Prime Minister, I'll do you, but I'll do you slowly. And the time will come, but I'll do him slowly.
Oh, that's sick. For those who don't know, mate, you've had a lot of career highlights. Obviously, there's a massive one down here where you fought Danny Green at Rod Laver, but your last one was epic. So you tell everyone about that. So you went over to France?
Yeah, mate, that was a massive one. Early 2019, I won the WBA Oceania title, which got me a top 10 ranking in the world.
Wow!
And I was then, luckily, due to my good management, they got me a world title shot with the current world champion Arsene Goumarian over in France.
What was that like?
Mate, it was unbelievable. Walking out into a stadium with 30,000 Frenchmen all screaming stuff. It probably
that was crazy.
Luckily, you didn't know what they were.
Yeah, probably weren't getting behind me, but yeah, it was an unbelievable experience. I had probably about 40 close mates of mine made the trip over from Oz. So yeah, mate, it was an awesome trip. Even though we didn't get the result we wanted, but yeah.
What did you learn about yourself?
What did I learn?
Yeah, in that particular bout.
It was my first fight overseas, so I was obviously mixing it with the world's best, man. Yeah, it just reassured me in my head that I'm capable of that sort of thing. So
do you think you're a bit closer than you thought you might be? I mean, going into that bout, what were your expectations?
Mate, we were confident going into that fight, but the unknown in boxing is a huge thing. You played silly mind games in yourself. In your mind with doubting yourself 1 minute and then confident the next. So after that fight, I was pretty happy with the way I went. I got hit with a lucky shot that in the liver, and I was unable to breathe. So
if you haven't seen it, jump on and have a look. But the guy that he was fighting, mate, he's an absolute weapon. Oh, it's unbelievable. So, no, you did yourself proud, mate. It was awesome. We're all proud of what you did that day.
So you're in the cruiserweight?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
And is it hard to get to the weight, or do you find you can get to the weight quite comfortably?
Yeah, mate. It's a funny thing with that. Over the years, I've done it easy when I've had good preparation, and I've had fights where I've done it hard. And one fight, I had to lose 6 kilos on weigh-in day. So I was sitting
6 kilos.
I was sitting in a sauna for a good hour and a half and lost only like kilo and a half. After that, I went and put deep heat on, baby oil, Vaseline.
What, to try and lose it all?
A sauna suit, a tracksuit, beanie. It was 35 degrees in Melbourne. I went and ran 2 laps of the tan. And then...
were people looking at you saying, what is this bloke doing? Or did they have a fair idea what you might have been doing?
I jumped in my car for that, turned the heater up flat out.
The jockeys do.
The seat heater on, and drove back to... I was living in Moorabbin at the time, and by the time I got back home, mate, I was delirious.
Do you look back at that and think, that's not good for my health?
Yeah, mate. I haven't done that since, but...
You made it?
Yeah, I made the weight then, yeah.
And we're getting the idea back together with GameFace too. You're jumping in with GameFace and promoting a boxing tournament between the locals again. Are we going
mate.
We're looking at that, and trying to get some footballers involved and maybe go 3 rounds.
Yeah. So we had that up, 18 months ago before COVID hit?
Yeah.
And we had it going. We had a few going. I think Lee Paholke put up his hand. Mitch Hallahan, I think, was put up his hand.
Yeah, Mitch can go, I believe.
Yeah. So you're going to be involved with that. What's the AO?
Yeah, mate. I'm lucky enough to catch up with Glenn and the guys from GameFace. And it's an idea I had 3 or 4 years ago. Every club's got someone that thinks they go, right? But me including, that's how I started off in boxing.
Well, one of the young blokes at Chelsea, one of the Clark boys, is very, very good, isn't he? Yeah. Brad Clark can really go, apparently. Apparently he does actually do it on the side boxing.
Shimano had one too.
Yeah.
Who was the one? Jack Gibb?
Yeah.
So there's a few around who can throw them, but probably the amateurs who think they can throw them, but you want to see them put up their hand and have a crack at it.
They're the ones who put the show on.
Yeah, Lee Paholke put his hand up. So hopefully we get some numbers through again. And have we got a date when we're looking to do that or not? Yeah, just pondering.
Early stages, mate. We'll get things rolling, I think.
Well, we've had some good amateur boxers over the years. I was lucky enough in 2006 to commentate for the ABC, the boxing at the Com Games, and Brad Pitt, local boy, painted down here in the Mornington Peninsula, won gold, and Jared Fletcher won gold. We had some talented boxers, but it was the Northern Irish who really dominated. They're unbelievable, and the English as well. They were very, very strong.
Yeah, mate, the European side of things, mate, they're pretty well credentialed over there.
Well, good luck. Who have you got in June?
Fighting ex-Australian champion Daniel Russell from Queensland.
Right.
So,
you know much about him?
I've actually done a lot of work. He's a twin, so his brother Aaron Russell is a ex-Australian champion as well, which I've done a lot of my pre-training with and sparring with over the years. So, a little bit about him, but it'd be a good one to get back in there.
Beautiful. I'll be up there.
Good on you, Kane. Look forward to it. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck in your prep, and enjoy the footage today.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Good on you, mate. Kane Watts, great to have him with us, Australian boxing champ, and of course Mornington Peninsula's own, former Mornington Peninsula footballer and Mornington player. So great to have him with us. That's our pre-match. Thanks to OBrien Real Estate. Back with the big game very, very shortly. Get your GameFace on.